We are live. We did it, Joanne.
Woo.
This is Charissa Costa
Yes.
with Charm City Readers, and here are the lovely faces. Thank you for joining us. Charm City Readers is an online book club. We're based in Baltimore, but we have authors and readers and publishers from all over. So look us up on Facebook. But today we are here with Joanne Flynn Black. That is a lot of L's. Joanne Flynn Black. It's a lot of L's.
And it's a lot of L's.
Welcome. How
Hi.
are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic. It is a cold
Awesome.
Tuesday in Baltimore, and you are where?
I am in Morristown, New Jersey right
How
now.
cold is it there?
It is cold. It's like 2 degrees or something.
Yeah, we have had school canceled, or not canceled, but delayed for 2 days in a row because they don't want to put the kids out at the bus stop.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
cold.
amazing.
Okay, so you are the author of In Motion, Around the World in Love and Heartbreak. Thank you for
Yes.
joining us. But before we talk about the book, I have a lightning round for us, just to get us like,
Ooh,
smooth and
lightning round.
chatty and get people to know you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So, favorite color?
Orange.
What?
Orange, yes.
I have never heard orange.
Look at the curtain behind me, like
You're
that burnt
right.
orange. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So like a autumn orange, like
An
a
autumn
an
orange. Yeah.
autumn orange.
Not a super bright orange, but a burnt orange.
Not an orange crush soda orange, but like a
No, 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 no,
casual
not
orange.
that orange. Yeah.
It's funny. I'm red, and I like never wear red. I don't have red in my house. I just love red. I don't know. Yeah. Favorite music genre?
Favorite music genre? A little R&B.
What? You
Mhm.
are unexpected. That's what I'll say. Okay, favorite 80s song.
80s song.
You can cop out and say you don't
Okay,
like the 80s,
I'm gonna give you
but
one. Pour some sugar on me.
okay. I'm getting the kind of girl you are right now. Like this is all coming together. Because I was gonna say Africa by Toto, which is a completely different. You know how you hear it and you're like, "Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na." Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Favorite travel music? Because clearly you've traveled. Like when you are on a plane for 8 hours, 12, what are you listening to?
No doubt.
Okay. All right. On repeat?
Yeah.
Like on
Yes.
repeat?
Oh, totally on repeat.
And you
Yeah.
probably have all the albums. Okay, got it. Favorite airplane snack? Trick question, they all stink.
Hmm. I lately I've been getting like United Airlines has that travel box and you
I've
could get
never
like
you were fancy pants. I've never had the travel
ah
one.
really?
What?
Oh, I mean it costs $10, I think.
Oh,
But
see?
it's like all these tiny little like cheeses and snacks and
Oh.
it's just it helps like past 20 minutes just opening up all the little things and eating it. So
Right, so
I
you're
like
burning
that.
like a half calorie every time you like rip open a compartment. It's like a
Yes.
travel advent calendar.
That's a
Please.
good one. I like that.
I just wish that they would stop giving us the flavored pretzels or peanuts. I'm like, just do it plain. Why are we trying to flavor it with like
Mm,
onions or something? Because my kid will not eat it.
right, right.
All right. As a traveler, do you prefer to book nonstop, which is more expensive, or take the layovers and save the cash?
I always book nonstop. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
That's what I thought.
I
That's
don't
what
like waiting, like, and I don't like the chance of, oh, we lost your luggage at that airport or your flight's delayed, and I always travel nonstop when I can.
okay. Me too, but you're well traveled, so it just tells me that I'm very, very smart like you are. Um, and I'll take it. Okay, books. When you read, do you prefer paperback or Kindle?
Paperback. I'm
Everyone's
not a
favorite.
Kindle person at all.
I
Yeah.
am.
Oh, really?
I am because
Oh.
when I was pregnant, it was so much easier when I had an infant to do things with one hand. That's so interesting because I like no one's Kindle except me. I feel like I ask every author, and every author is like paperback. Do you read audio or do you listen to audiobooks? Yes or no?
I do. I'm an no, audible, like, freak.
I know they're
Yeah.
like, you have 3 credits. And I'm like, thank you. I know I'm hoarding them. Thank you very much. I'm hoarding my credits for when
Yeah.
my library runs out. You know what I mean? And then I have to jump over to Audible and get the book.
Yeah, and
Um,
I'm also very particular about the sound of the person narrating.
yes.
So if I don't like their voice, I listen to the preview, and if I don't like their voice, that's it. Even if it's the best book ever, it's okay, I'll just buy the book, but if I don't like the way they sound, I don't listen to it.
I'm not going to mention the book I'm reading. I mentioned it in the club, so you might have seen it. But like, I'm reading a book where the narrator does voices, and like two of the voices he does,
Mm.
like, make me want to rip the skin off my face. And I'm like,
Oh.
I remember asking, like, is this going to get easier? Is this going to get better? Because it's really hard on me. Hearing him do these two voices is so hard. Look in the club if you want to figure out which book it is. But
Okay.
it's just, no, not you, just anyone who's watching. It's so hard. And I often will flip. I'll start with an audiobook and flip to the book because I can't handle it. Or
Mm,
some books read funny, and if it's being read to me, then I can handle it a little better. Maybe I'm
right,
weird.
right, yeah.
Do you have a favorite book genre?
Travel, memoir.
Travel. This is my surprised face, right? No, not
Yeah,
surprised. Not
that's
surprised. Like
surprising.
memoirs or like
Yes, yes, memoir. So I love reading about people's adventures and, what they got involved in and just about their life and what that means about them. I just love that kinda armchair travel
yes.
feeling. Yeah.
We're gonna get to your book right after this one comment, but have you
Yeah.
read To Shake the Sleeping Self? I forget the author.
No.
Oh, it's good. It's about this
Really?
guy who cycles from, I'm not sure if he starts in Washington State, but all the way to the tip of South America, and like what he learns about himself along the way.
And
It's
tell
quite
me the
good.
name again?
To Shake the Sleeping Self. Very good.
I'll have to check that out. I
Yeah,
will. Yeah.
and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
on
definitely.
to your book.
Oh, okay.
So give us the elevator pitch. The book is In Motion, um,
Yeah.
and it's a travel memoir. So, you meet us on the elevator. What do you tell people about the book? How would you describe it?
Well, I would say the title, which you just did, In Motion, Around the World in Love and Heartbreak. And it's usually the heartbreak that they go, "Ooh, what's that about?" And I tell them that, I had a big choice in my life, and that was to either stick with my corporate career and try to continue to climb up the ladder or go on this round the world trip. That was my goal. And then I decided to go on the trip and leave my job. And but along the way, while I was planning, I fall in love with someone, and I decide to invite him on the trip. And it's the story of our journey and my kind of transformation from that journey.
Well, and when the story starts, you're how old? How old are you when you worked at Deloitte?
In my 30s.
In
Yeah,
your 30s?
yeah.
Because I'm reading it and I was like, she better not be in her 20s. I'm like, getting that far. Because I mean, like a lot of us were, like a lot of us, and I think women our age, like we were like career, 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 career. And then you find yourself like, 10, 15 years in, and that's like all you focused on. So it's
Right.
amazing that you enabled yourself to like check out and leave it all behind.
Yeah, I mean, I love what I did. I worked as a management consultant. I worked for Deloitte Consulting. I was there 10 years, and I was climbing up the ladder from like senior consultant to manager to senior manager, and the next step would have been partner. And that's a lifelong kind of commitment. I feel like if you don't do what I do once you make partner, you kind of stick with it.
Yeah. So,
So I had to decide like, okay, I either do this now or I don't, or I just give up the dream.
and you did it. You did
And
it.
I
Okay.
I did it.
Very serious question. Beginning in the
Okay.
book. How
Yes.
many Cosmos do you think you've ever had in one sitting?
Oh,
'Cause
oh, in one city? I thought you were gonna say in my life because that would have been hard to
no, because
answer.
Cosmos make an appearance a lot in the book, and I was like, "Girl, how many Cosmos are you drinking?"
Yeah, probably
Quite a few.
probably 3, maybe
Okay, 3.
4. Yeah.
I think I was in my 20s or 30s, can't remember when, worst boyfriend in the world. I had 5 martinis. I thought I was gonna die.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
I've probably had one martini ever since. Lesson learned there. No, but
Yeah.
Cosmos plays such. I'm reading and I'm reading you sitting with your friends in the beginning and talking about the trip and the
Yes.
job and the guy, and I was like,
Mm,
here she is with the Cosmo again.
I know. Cosmopolitan Cafe in, San Francisco,
Shout
right
out.
near my job, and that was, like, our spot, and that was, like, the big thing to drink back then.
Do you still drink Cosmos?
No, I haven't
No,
had one in a really long time, but maybe
you
I should have
graduated.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
more of a red wine kinda drinker
me
now.
too. We're like
Yeah.
twins. Not really, because you're so much more traveled than I am, but at least I read your book, so I feel like I so in the middle of the career, you meet a guy on a red-eye flight. Like, when
Yes.
does so, like, I traveled when I was in my, like, late 20s, 30s, like, mostly, like, Vegas, Atlanta, and, you dream about that, the cute guy sitting next to
Right.
you on the airplane, and you got the cute guy sitting next to you on the airplane.
I know, I know. My friend, I'm gonna shout her out right now. Her name's Shirley, and she also worked for Deloitte at the time, and she would say, "I travel on a plane, and I sit next to the crying baby, and you travel on a plane, and you find the guy."
The guy, yeah. But
Yeah,
what's interesting is that you meet the guy and then you guys don't actually date for 8 years.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah, we lived, he lived in New Jersey here, and I lived in San Francisco. And, either I was dating someone or he was dating someone, and we were never like single at the same time. So it took us 8 years to finally meet up.
meet up. Well, and we won't want to give away all the good parts, so we won't tell
Yeah,
exactly how that happens and goes about it. But so you have
yeah,
this dream on your own to go on this solo trip. And meeting him, I mean, I can call him by his name, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
yeah, okay. So
yeah,
Ira, you meet Ira, and you're like, I know, you guys start dating, and you're like, I know we should go on this trip together. Now, at that point, you'd known him, I think, like a decade, right? Because it was like the 8 years plus dating ability,
yeah.
maybe.
True. I
But
mean, but those 8 years, I didn't really know him. I mean, we
know him,
might have
know him.
exchanged emails like 3 times a year, type of thing. So it was knowing him, but not that much. More
I know,
like
and you're like,
2
let's
years, I
leave
think.
it all and go to a foreign country, like
Right.
countries, for 7 months together. I mean, it's just
Mm,
amazing. Like, oh, the guts of 30-year-olds. You know what I mean? To just no, wait a
I
minute, because
know.
you weren't 30. Wait a minute. By the time you guys
I
went on
know.
this trip, you were 8 years older. So
Mhm.
I guess you were mature. Well, and one
Yeah.
of the things I mentioned is I think we all dream of like pausing our life and like going on the trip. And now we're parents and we can't do that. Kids are in school and you can only
Yeah.
vacation during the summer. So I mean, the fact that you actually gave it all up and were able to do that, like you did the dream that we all think about.
Yeah, I think, well, when we were traveling, people would say, "Oh, we'd run into other travelers, and they say, how long have you been out, and how long you're staying?" And I would say, "Oh, yeah, we're staying for 6, 7 months," and they say, "Oh, that's my dream. That's like I'm on a 1 week vacation.
Mhm.
But I can't do it because I have a job." And I'm like, "Well, I had a job,
Like,
and well, I can't do it because I have a house. Well, I had a house. So it was just like, but when they did say I have, if they had kids, I couldn't match that one at that
yeah, but
point.
you did it
But
before
yeah,
kids. So smart. So
yeah,
smart.
yeah,
Why? I
I
don't know if
know.
reincarnation is real, but if it is, I'll come back and take the trip.
Although it is possible, I will say I have some really good friends, Sandy and Joe, they were traveling with their 7-ish old year old daughter at the same time we were. We almost met up with them. We were, kind of in different countries and everything, but they did it a little differently than us. Like they rented a car and they stayed longer in places, but they made it. They did it. They went around the world.
I don't
So
know
it
if
is
my boss,
possible.
who could or could not be watching at some point, would let me take the summer off. I don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah, I'll
Mm,
just take the whole entire
yeah.
summer. So I don't want to go through everything in the book because I don't want to run it
Okay.
for readers, but I mean, I
Yes.
have questions, and I wanted to hit
Okay.
on some things in some various countries. So
Okay.
you start off in Japan, where
Yes.
Ira knows some folks.
Yes.
But what struck me about Japan was, strangely, the Big Buddha. Like,
Oh,
so
right.
I was in Hong Kong years ago. It's the fanciest place I've gone. My girlfriend Jody lived there, and they have a giant Buddha. I don't know if you know.
Mm.
I looked it up. There are three. There are three.
Oh,
You've been to one. I've been to one, and there's one in Thailand.
I've been
Yeah,
to one in Thailand
you have.
too. I have. I didn't put it in the book because it was a different trip.
All right, I'm gonna put this in front of our faces. There's me. You can look
Oh,
in front of the
that
Big
is
Buddha. I was
so
a
cool.
young 34. Yeah.
Oh, I
So
love
again, I
that.
felt like a kinship. I was like, she saw the Big Buddha.
Now
Yours
you need
wins
to make
though.
it to Japan.
Well, yours wins. It's like the oldest one.
It does?
It
Oh,
was.
okay.
I wrote it down. It was 1252. 12
Wow.
like
Okay.
the year 1252. That's how old that thing is.
Did
Yeah.
you write down what, the size? Like, which one's the biggest out of all the
I
big Buddhas?
I didn't, but it said those are the
Okay.
main 3, and the Hong Kong one's like 1993, so I lose by like a
Oh.
long shot. But
Yeah.
I remember being in Hong Kong and like the way it's situated in Hong Kong is like if you walk up to it, the South China Sea is on the other side of it. So, here's this girl who's from Ohio, right, living in Baltimore, and I walk up and I can see, like, I was raised on South Pacific and musicals, right? So like I could see the South China Sea and the wind, and I'm
Wow.
like, I've arrived. Like there's like monks singing in the background, like it was an epic
Wow.
core memory, inside out. It was
Yeah.
such a core memory. So when you said it, I was like, I could picture myself with you at the Big
Right,
Buddha.
right, at the Big Buddha, yeah, that's very cool, that's really cool that you had that experience,
Well, and you
and,
too, right? So, but you've seen
yeah,
two, and I've only seen one. So now I feel I need to man up and add to
you need to
my
go
list.
to Japan or Thailand.
Right. Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
So New
So what
Zealand.
something that's cool about Japan, the people we met with,
Yes, from
Onishi
Ira's work.
and Kono, right? So my son, who's 16, he went to Japan with his school, like a spring break trip, chaperoned, of course, an
Right.
educational foundation kind of big, trip. But we connected Kono and Anishi with my son, Joe, and he was able to break off from the trip. And, we worked it out with the chaperones, and he got to meet with them. And so he like carried on this tradition of, um, being in Japan with Kono and Anishi.
Oh my gosh, that is so
I
amazing.
know, I know.
Because
It's really
Ira was there
incredible.
first. He worked there, right?
Yes. Yes, he did. Yeah.
And then did you wanna go to Japan, or did you choose to start because that was like he wanted to get back and see them?
Well, I wanted to go there because I had friends who lived there. They were expats
Mhm.
that lived there. So I wanted to go because of that. And then he wanted to go because he worked there. So that was one of the countries we agreed on. We both wanted to go to.
Yeah, how'd you narrow it down? Like, I wanna go to these 10 and you wanna go to those 10, and we're gonna duke it out.
Yeah. It was literally like, in the room, basically with a map and pens and Post-its, and like, I wanna go here, and if how would we, what would the route be?
Mhm.
And eventually, like, what did we have to give up? And there were a couple things that was like, we can't do it all. Like, one thing I really wanted to go to South America and you know see a few countries down there. And after we realized and we did all the planning, it was like, that's a whole trip in and of itself. Like, you need
Right.
a long time to go do all the countries. So like, that's something I gave up.
Have you gone since then? Because that's a second book just waiting to happen.
I know, I know. I've been to Colombia.
Yes.
That was a work a work thing that I went there to potentially sell a work project, but we wound up losing it, so I never got to go
Oh,
back. If we won the project, I would have gotten to work in Colombia. So,
I have a girlfriend who's from Colombia, so yeah,
oh, okay,
yeah.
yeah,
So, but
yeah.
haven't been. I'm just not as well traveled, Joanne. But being an older mom, we've decided we're going to take our son. You know, he's 8 now, and so like, no
Mm,
naps, no stroller. We're just gonna, throw him on the plane and just go. So
yeah,
we're
yeah.
not going
I
to
mean,
wait till we're old.
yeah, at 8, my son, I'm just thinking how old he was. Yeah, he was 7 or 8. We took him to Italy, and he
Oh,
was an amazing traveler. Like, people were like, "Oh my god, kid in Europe, what are they gonna do?" He loved to eat and try the different things and watch the train, you know, the board with the
yeah,
train. There was one time, I think, it was that trip or another trip, he was we were standing on the train platform waiting for the train, and he said, "Mom, shouldn't we be over there?" And I said, "Oh, no, no, honey, we should be right here." And then he like pointed at the board, and I was like,
uh-huh.
"Oh, you're right.
Yep.
We should be over there." And then we ran over there.
Thank you for
So
paying attention.
yeah, exactly. So he's a good traveler. Although people, not a couple of people have said we're bad parents because we haven't taken our son to Disney World.
I haven't either.
Oh, okay. We
Because
gave
it's
him the
$8
choice, like,
trillion. Like
yeah,
it's
like,
so
hey,
expensive.
yeah, exactly. I totally agree. And I remember like giving him the choice, like, okay, we could go to France or you could go to Disney World. And he's like,
And
I
he
want to go
chose
to
France.
France. Yeah. And he did. He really did. So
Right?
we don't feel
AJ
so
would
bad
totally
about
choose
this.
Disneyland right now or Disney World. There's no doubt. So I'm not even asking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I'm going to go to Florida, I want to do the Harry Potter experience. And he's not a Harry Potter fan. I don't know what's wrong with him. I'm not sure if he's mine.
Oh.
Yeah. But like, why would you go and not be able to do all the
Right.
spells with the fancy wand? But anyway, off topic. Um, so New Zealand next. And
Yes.
I have a friend in New Zealand, Carol. I think I mentioned her to you. She's the one who does Inflow
Oh,
magazine.
yeah, you did.
Hi, Carol, if you're watching. I know she was going to watch either live or later. Um,
Okay.
but I'm going to be real. Like, how do you go to New Zealand and not go on the Lord of the Rings tour? Joanne? I mean, like,
And I was reading The Lord of the Rings while I was there because I was like, oh, I
you
want
guys
to
were like,
read
we
a
just don't have
book
time to see the
related.
Shire?
I don't know. We were doing other things and we
I
just
know. I'm
didn't
just kidding.
didn't
Because
make
I'm
it.
like,
Yeah.
other than seeing Carol, of course, like, I'm like, I want to live in the
Yeah.
Shire. So I'm like, I don't know how you miss it. But you did get your 2
Yeah.
socks.
Yes.
Tell the story
Yes.
about the socks
Yeah.
because I'm a marketer. I love a gimmick.
Yeah, this was great. So we went to their it was the store for their soccer team, and in the South Island, they gave you one sock, and they said if you go to the store, their store in the North Island, they would give you the matching sock, so you'd have two socks. So I have a great picture of Ira, putting on his socks. Um, at the second store.
Does he
So
still
it
have the
was a
socks? He
great
has to
gimmick.
still have them, right?
I feel like I've seen one. I don't know where the other one is, but
That's where
at
it is
least
with
at least
socks.
there's
You always
one.
lose one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they always go
exactly.
missing. Well,
Yeah.
and then the dragon boat. So we didn't touch on that at the
Yeah.
beginning. You were on a dragon boat team in California. You competed at least one time
Yes.
internationally. And
Yes.
tell us about that and then what you did in New Zealand.
Yeah. So for folks, because a lot of people don't know what a dragon boat looks
Cool,
like.
it's what it is.
It's like a 20-foot long boat. At the very head is or the front, there's a head, a dragon head, and on the back there's a dragon tail. And on the boat there's 22 people. So there's a drummer at the beginning of the boat, kind of calling out the commands, and then in the back there's a steers person, and then there are 20 people paddling off to one side. So it's just, and then you're paddling to the beat of the drummer. I'm actually wearing a dragon necklace that my friend Erica literally gave me this weekend. She made it for me. Yeah. So
She
I
made
was
it
like,
for you?
she did. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
So I was like, hey, I used to be a dragon boater. She's like, oh my God, I have the thing for you. So anyway, while we were there, I thought that I would get to paddle on a dragon boat
Why
team,
not?
because why not? Or, you're New Zealand, and you could say, oh, in San Francisco, I'm a paddler, I'm a drummer. And from my experience, a lot of races, they need paddlers. They'd be like, hey, we're down a paddler. We only have 19. Can you jump
Right.
in my boat? Right. So I would, other people would jump in the boat. So I just assumed that and it would happen in New Zealand, but it didn't. They were like, no, that we have enough
Yeah.
paddlers, go away. But they did they when Iris said, oh, I'm a photographer, can I jump in the boat? They were like, oh yeah, that's great. So he got to go out and photograph, which was amazing, and he got amazing pictures. But I got to cheer the teams on.
Well, I have a tiny surprise for you.
Oh.
Yeah, I reached out to the New Zealand Dragon Boat Association.
No way.
I did. I'm going to read you their letter.
Get out of here.
I hope this letter finds you well. On behalf of the New Zealand Dragon Boat Association, we understand that your time in New Zealand in 2005 was both enriching and memorable, and that dragon boating featured in your book, In Motion. But you unfortunately did not have an opportunity to paddle with one of our teams then. Should you find yourself in New Zealand again, we would be delighted to connect you with one of our local teams. It would be an honor to have you paddle with us and share the camaraderie and spirit that defines our sport. Thank you once again for your contributions to the world of dragon boating. We look forward to the possibility of welcoming you back to New Zealand in the future.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you plan to go back.
I can't. I'm definitely going back now. First of all, I can't believe you did that. That is so amazing. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I thought it would make you smile. I mean, it's real. I didn't make it up. I mean,
I know. I could see.
I'll send you the letter.
It's really amazing.
Yeah.
And that's amazing that they responded like that.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked, honestly.
So now you can go back to Dragon Boat and live in the Shire. And that can be
wow.
So I'll send this to you. But yeah. Congratulations.
I'm definitely. I didn't think I would probably go back because there's so many other places to see. But now with that letter, I mean,
and you can replace the sock.
I can replace a sock, and I could do like book tour and like be out there and talk about the book, and
that would be awesome. So
yeah.
Yay. See, and then it's kismet because you have the necklace too, so it was just meant to be. It was meant to be.
It totally was meant to be.
Okay, so we did the two socks. Okay, India. Possibly for me the most terrifying chapter of the whole book. Because of the desert beetles. I think I was reading it at like 11 o'clock at night, and it's out of context, people. You got to read the book to get the full story on the dragon beetles. But you guys went on a camel tour. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, camel safari, they call it.
Camel safari. And at night, large beetles come out of the
beetles come out.
I'm reading the book and I have to put my Kindle down because again, Kindle, and pull out my phone and I'm like, India, like desert beetles.
Desert beetles. Like, what did it look like?
Because you said it crawled into your lap.
Oh, yeah, it was really bad.
How big are they? Show me, like how big are they?
Well, they're like that big. No, wait, that big. yeah, they're beetles.
Would you do the safari again? Would you do it again, knowing they're out there?
I'd be more prepared if I did it because I would know that they were out there. And
like what, with like a bat? I mean, how do you prepare for like crawling beetles that crawl into your lap?
I know. It was not fun. And our guides, or the camel leaders, or I forget what they call them, but they weren't scared. They were like, I said, you slept out here in the sand with the beetles? Like, I couldn't believe
How?
it. And they were like, well, they don't bite.
But what do they do?
I know.
We
Yeah, they
were
were giant.
My
Yeah.
husband and I, we went to Key West for our honeymoon, and
Oh,
we camped in the
nice.
Dry Tortugas. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like an hour or two boat ride off of the tip of Key West, and it's like an old fort. And you can,
Oh,
yeah, there are like so many campers a night, and you can sleep. And it's covered in crabs, and not like the cool crabs eat like the little hermit crabs. Like the whole island is like a crab heaven, and they will like if you drop like a crumb, they will start to like, oh, you can't see my hands. They'll start to like,
the
and
invasion of
so
the crabs.
yeah, so we slept terribly because that sand is not as soft as you think it would be because we slept in like sleeping bags. But when I got up the
Mm.
next morning on the outside of the tent, there were like crab, like they had cuddled with me through the tent. And that horrified me. I cannot dream about a magic, like a desert beetle.
And they cuddled with you?
Like I was like, with my back probably to my husband like this, right? And
Uh-huh.
where the tent was, there were like little tracks and like little
Yeah.
circles where they had like cuddled with my back through the tent.
Oh,
I
yeah,
know, and
not
that
good.
was creepy. So like
Not
maybe I
good.
had like some PTSD from the crab
Yeah.
experience with your desert beetles, but
Yeah. Yeah, that was memorable, but not in a good way.
not in a good way. Well, we won't go into more. That whole part of the trip was a little
Yeah.
dramatic, but we'll
Yeah.
skip it. We'll leave it for the
Let's
readers.
skip that. Yeah.
So you go to am I saying it Bhutan?
Bhutan.
Bhutan. See, I knew I was wrong and I practiced it. Peggy.
Yes.
You meet a lady who did what you did. She left it
I
all.
know. She did. She did.
Do you still keep in touch
Yes.
with Peggy?
We're, like, really good friends.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because one
Yeah.
of my
Actually
favorite
staying
things.
at her house over this weekend, so yeah. Yeah.
One of my favorite things is
So
like how this happens, right? Like human connection. Like I met you, by the way. Hi, Debbie Keevan, if you're watching, like publisher, Highlander Press. Um, because she's introduced me to some amazing people. But here you are in the middle of a country that not many people have heard of, let alone gone to. You meet a
Right.
lady who's with you for how many days? Like
It was half a month, so
that was half a month. That was
yeah.
it was like 2 chapters.
It was half a month, yeah.
And now you're still friends with her all these years later.
Yeah, yeah.
What's
Yeah,
she
and,
doing now? She's not in advertising? Still not in advertising?
no, she's not in advertising, but she's working for a foundation that does amazing things to help hospitals and things like that, so she's
Hat
doing
tip, hat
really
tip,
well.
Peggy. We're
Yeah,
thinking of you.
yeah.
Thank you for your work.
Yeah, and, you'll read it in the book, but, here's Peggy. She's, gonna escape New York and go on this round the world trip, and she decides to come to Bhutan so she could meet, like-minded individuals, and, on this tour, because you actually the only way you could get to Bhutan is through a tour. They wouldn't allow you to just show up
That's right. Yeah.
unaccompanied. And the only people on the tour are me and Ira. So, it was like, oh, there's no one else.
And why
But
did you decide to go there? Because again, it's not like a
mm,
well-traveled country. I might not even be saying that right, and I hope I'm not disrespecting the country.
no, no, no. It's a small country. It's up in the Himalayan mountains, so it's near like Tibet and north of India. Um, okay, I'll tell you how I know about it.
Yeah.
So in the New York Times, there was an article written about Bhutan by this woman. I always remember her name, Marie Brown, which I should probably get in touch with and be like, oh my God, you
Had I
really
known.
changed my life. Yeah. And apparently Peggy read that same article. Yeah, I know. I know. And so we both decided, never knew each other, but both decided to take this around the world trip, both decided to go to Bhutan. We both decided to leave on the same day to, like, literally she went one way, I went another way, but we met in Bhutan 3 months later.
I'm going to ask you later. I want to get a copy of that article. You probably still have it or can find it. We should share it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get
Yeah,
them some
definitely.
tourism. I'm in
Yeah.
marketing hat.
Yeah. And what an amazing country, and just so different than anything we've experienced, like up in the mountains, and everything is so different from our worlds.
Right. And the
Yeah.
whole time you're out there, you feel fairly safe, like, because you said it's two other, or Ira, who and Peggy, stranger at first, and you're just out
Hmm.
in the middle of nowhere, like fairly safe. The tour felt good and safe, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's honestly, it's like the safest country because, first of all, there's no crime. Like, people don't even consider that. And secondly, it's like a Buddhist country, and they really like tourists, and want to understand what it's like in America. And there was never any feeling of unsafety. The only unsafe thing there is driving down, well, not, we weren't driving, but the driver was driving down these, like, this far away from the curb, and then that was like a 300-foot drop from the mountain. So you had to just trust that they knew what they were doing when they were driving the van, and that was scary. That was scary, definitely. But I just said, I'm trusting that they've done this. This is what they do for a living, and we're not going to fall down a cliff 300 miles or feet.
when I was in Hong Kong, we took a double-decker bus to a little town called Stanley, which is like out on the water. It's south of Hong Kong. And it was the
Okay.
same. It was my girlfriend's like, let's sit in the front row in the top. And I was like, okay. I thought I was going to die the entire time. Like, I mean, I just and they're super confident, but the roads are tiny and
I
swervy.
know. Yes. Yeah.
But you made it out alive, Joanne.
I made it. I definitely made it out.
With or without, excuse my French, a shit shovel. You came in with a shit shovel and you
did
didn't
not
leave
leave with it. Yeah. Yes.
Must read the book for shit shovel chapter.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
I
so
won't give that away.
we won't give that away. No, it's too fun.
Mm-mm.
India. One of the things that I really connected with India is the MV spices. And I was wondering how you knew about that, because that whole chapter, like as a woman too, like I was with you, like as you were talking, her name, Usha.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, I was just wondering, like, okay, you gave the story on how you knew, about the previous trip. How did you learn about MV spices, and like, why go there, and how did you find her?
Yeah. So, it was actually in the Lonely Planet guidebook, and they wrote up like some incredible thing about MV spices. And I was like, oh, I have to go there, and of course things are hard to find in the middle of India, right? But I was able to somehow find her shop, and something that the people who will read it will know that it was owned by her father, and the father passed away, and they had no sons to pass this down to, but they had, like, I forget, 8 or 9 daughters, and they decided, the daughter is going to run the shop. And that's at that, especially at the time, and not really common for women to run the shop. So it was just like a very heartfelt like moment for me, and they still exist, by the way. So I was in
searched them on the
touch.
internet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I was
found them?
like, maybe I should order some spices.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if they still do this, but I think in the past, they would ship you this, because some people would be afraid, like, oh, I'm sure I'll order it and I'll never get it, and now I'm out, $30. But they would collect the payment when you got the goods, then you'd pay for it. Might be a little different now, I don't know. But it's an amazing place to order spices. And I was in touch with them recently in the last couple of years when I was writing the book, because I think I wanted to fact check something. And we still existed and I was in touch, and I let them know that I was writing the book. So I do need to get in touch with them again. This will
Send
be
them
a
one.
good
Yeah.
motivation to do that.
Well, and I love too, like as a female in business, you took that time to sit down with her too, and kind of like you put
Mm,
your business hat on. Like I often find
yeah.
my friends, and I know Leanna's watching, will know that like they'll be like, I have a problem, and I'm like, business hat, and I'm like, let's
Mm,
solve it. And
yes.
like you did that too. Like she was talking about some of her challenges, and you were like, well, can you do this? And can you do this? And can you rally?
Mm,
And I loved
mm,
that because I connected with who you are. I'm like, you're just trying to help this woman all the way on the other side of the world, like keep a business going that, was her father's. And it was just really beautiful. I
right.
wondered if you kept in
Yeah.
touch.
Yeah. Yeah. So
All right.
I will after this. I mean, I was in touch, but I will get back in touch.
MV
Um,
Spices, people, look them up. Let's buy some spices, keep the business
in
going.
Jodhpur, India. And
Jodhpur. Okay.
it's funny because people would, other spice companies would act like they were MV Spices, like they might do MV Spice or some
Uh-huh.
variation of it, just to steal the customers, because they knew that MV Spices was known because of the Lonely Planet. Probably really helped them a lot. I do think because they wrote a
Yeah.
really nice thing about them. Yeah.
I'll find the link and we'll put it up too. So that way we can help support.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, are you still good on time? I think you are.
I
It's
am, yeah.
40. Okay. Lithuania. Okay. I don't want to say it's my favorite part of the whole book, but for the love of God, Joanne, where are the pictures of the rocks? Where are they?
I know.
Give me pictures of the rocks. I found Ira's website. I found Ira's Facebook. I don't see
Oh,
any
you did?
pictures of rocks. And
Okay.
and folks, you got to read the book. The rocks are like another character in the book. They're in a third of the book all by themselves. I won't give it away how, but like, where are the pictures of the rocks, Joanne? I felt like I just was left
I'll
hanging.
send it to you, I will send it. I'll send you a picture because they were beautiful. They weren't like the rocks we get here. This is a rock. These were really beautiful
How,
rocks.
I mean, were they I mean, no,
They
okay,
were
I don't want to give it
like,
away, but like, wow. So like,
you know,
yeah, heavy
yeah,
rocks. I think you said they
heavy.
were like 8 pounds or something like that in the book, the bag of
Yeah,
rocks.
yeah, they were
Well,
pretty heavy.
it occurred to me, Ira, if you're watching or listening or watch this later, we could really use a landing page on your website that is specifically about the countries you visited and all the photos you took as an appendix to the book.
Yeah, I know. We do.
I don't
We
know if
do.
I can like peer pressure Ira into this, but if you're listening, Ira, I A need
Yes.
pictures of the rocks. And
Yeah.
B, I think it would be a great appendix, to get over to Ira's
Right.
website and watch the landing page and look at all the pictures. Just saying.
Yeah, and we have talked about there maybe being like a companion book, like a coffee table book of just the photos, something like that. But in the meantime, we should at least put it online. So
With the rocks on the front cover.
I will let him know for sure.
I'm
If he
like,
doesn't watch, I'll let
these
him know.
rocks must have been awesome. Like, you know what I mean?
You-
Like to have the adventure that they had. Okay, but no spoilers, no spoilers.
Yeah, we
Um,
can't.
Russia. Again,
Mm,
it's so hard for me because I could dive down into all these stories, but I don't want to give it away. But there's a
yes.
portion of Russia where you get a exclusive tour of the Kremlin.
Yes.
'Cause that happens.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
ever find out who this guy was?
And it was kind of mysterious.
You don't have a
He
picture of
did
him or
it
anything, I guess.
very, he even asked us not to take a picture of
I
him.
figured, yeah.
Yeah. Although I did take, like, a behind like, his back, like, they were walking in front of me, and it was just such a cool picture, and afterwards, I realized I maybe shouldn't have taken that because could be a problem, but I do have a picture of his back. But he didn't want any pictures of him because he let us do something that maybe he wasn't
Shouldn't
supposed
have.
to, and or didn't want other people to know, which was to take a private tour of the Kremlin while it was closed
Like,
to
how many
tourists.
people? I mean, especially in this
Yeah.
day and age with everything that's going on, like, that's not happening again.
No, that is not happening.
The
Yeah.
Mr. K is Mr. Kremlin, right? So that actually was no like clue to his name because I couldn't help myself. I Googled it and I was like, I'm pretty sure this is their nickname, but why not?
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't put his real name because we didn't want him to
Yeah,
potentially be, get in any trouble, so we just named him Mr. K.
I fully respected that. But it was
Yeah.
just a cool part because especially, fast forward to when the book is published, not
Mm.
many Americans these days are going to ever have that experience in general, but also not
Right.
ever again. Like it's just
Right,
not
right,
going to be a common thing for Americans to be allowed that access.
right, right. We went at a time where it was nothing was happening
Mhm.
and like that, what's happening now. So it was hard to really just, know what they did and what they're doing and all of the things that,
Yeah,
I'm glad we did get there when we did, but it's kind of sad, what's going on right now.
it is. It is. Don't get me
Yeah.
started though, because I only want to be happy right now. I'm happy with you. I don't want to
Ah.
drag me down. Natasha, another random connection from the book. Do you keep
Mm,
in touch with Natasha?
I haven't.
No, I wondered because you guys like clicked and
I
gossiped or whatever, and I
know.
was like, huh, yet another. Just Peggy then. Peggy's special.
Peggy is special. She's
Peggy's
very
special.
special, yeah. And a few, well, not just Peggy. I mean, Peggy is special.
Peggy, you're
But,
special.
I do keep in touch with a few people, from the well, so you've already been to Lithuania, so just mention Marius,
Yes, yes.
and Marius, and,
Hi, Marius.
hey, and he's actually he's in speaking of Key West, he has a coffee shop in Key West,
Wait a minute, which
and
one?
I don't know the name, but it's new. It's just opened in the last like 2 months.
Oh, okay, okay. Because
Yeah.
we love going there, and you'll have to let me know so we can.
Okay.
Oh, I can put that on here too. I'm gonna book coffee shop. I'll put it on
Okay.
the
And
notes.
he also has 2 coffee shops in Tampa, and he just that he's had for a few years, and then he, opened one up in Key West.
We do love us some Key
Yeah,
West.
yeah.
Uh,
And
you know,
when you get to Spain, I'm gonna mention someone else I keep in touch with.
well, no, mention now because it's like I don't want to. What I didn't want to do is go like through
Okay.
every country and pick
Okay.
like it, especially because at the end things are happening and they're
Uh,
conversations, right?
okay.
But you guys go on to Spain. You go to
Yes.
Morocco. You go to
Yes.
Gibraltar, which was you can't see
Yes.
the background here at all because it's all our faces, but that was a picture I randomly chose of the Rock of Gibraltar. And Italy, where you had family. So I mean, like
Yes.
we kind of ended our discussion in Russia, but we've got countries and countries
I
after that.
know. There's so many.
Who do
Yes.
you don't keep in
Well,
touch with
so
the guys on the beach in Spain, do you?
I do.
What?
Yes. Yes, I do. I do.
I want friends like
Caleb,
that.
yes, Caleb and Christian. Who are not together, but I keep in touch
No.
with both of them separately.
Do they don't get along? So that was a bad breakup,
One lives in another country, and they're still friends. They're still friends.
But
But
Ira didn't
I've
meet them because he wasn't with you then, right?
he didn't meet them, but he met them
Later.
since they came to our wedding.
I
Yeah,
love it.
they were living in another country, and then they were
Oh.
vacationing in Miami, and I was like, Miami, like I'm not that far from Miami. Can I crash your vacation? So I went down to hang out in Miami with them.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah,
What a
that
blessed
was
life you
fun.
have lived. And
Thank you.
again, like I didn't want to get too much into it because the title does have love and heartbreak and
Yeah.
there are some things that happen during this time that are rough. You're dealing with the aftermath of the death of your brother. And you
Mhm.
kind of go through some of that healing, I hope, during the trip, just
Yeah.
helping yourself get there.
Yeah.
So there's sad parts too. Um,
Yes, it's not all
n-
fun and
but it's
games.
real life, right? Like real life
Yeah.
is not all happy. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
we have our share of heartbreak. But what I love about it is you come through it, right? So you share with us the joy and the stress and the pain, and then
Mhm.
how you come out of it, which is really about what it's all about, right? The healing.
Yeah, and I felt like, adding that piece about my brother, and his death, that, I needed it to be in there because I felt like without it, you wouldn't understand me as a person, and also, like, to just show that, you know, life is hard, and you might see somebody and say, "Oh, that she's never been through anything that was hard," but that's not true, you know?
Well, no, you had a
Yeah.
lot of heartbreak afterwards too, and we get to
Mm,
watch you at all the high points and all the fun points in
mhm,
the Desert Beatles, and then, the low
mhm,
points, but then how you came out of it, kind
mhm.
of healed yourself where you landed, and that's where you are
Yeah,
today.
yeah,
We
mhm,
um, at the beginning of the book, you quote Sir Isaac Newton, "Objects at rest tend to stay at rest. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion." Did you
mhm.
that was, I believe, the signature in your email when you were a
Email.
little. Yeah. So, but I mean, as a 30-year-old, is that like does that statement mean, like, I'm a go-getter? Like, I'm gonna stay in motion, I'm gonna keep moving, I'm gonna keep up with the world, and, like, what does that phrase mean now, right? Now you've written a book and you've titled it In Motion, but is it the same kind
Mm.
of motion? You know?
Yeah,
The
well, when I look back at that, like, having that as my signature line while I was traveling, it was a little, I don't know, pretentious maybe? I don't know what the word is.
aren't all
Like,
30-year-olds sorry, 30-year-olds. Like, we can all look back
um
though, and we were, you know?
Yeah, yeah, but because I really wanted to be in motion, and I wanted to always be doing something,
Mhm.
and, I wanted to encourage, and I still do, I wanna encourage other people to travel, and it's not like you have to, travel the expensive way, we stayed in hostels, and we stayed with friends of friends, and or cheap places, it's not, we went to very inexpensive countries, so, you might think, "Oh my god, there's a lot of money," but not really, because we stayed in these, places that were affordable. Um, but getting back to the quote, it's funny because I do think about motion a lot, especially because that's the title of my book, and I picked that sort of as my word for the year, but, I'm still debating. I know it's already the 21st, or, should really have a word.
It's your life, you can
Um,
change it whenever you want,
I
Joanne.
could change it all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. But I just feel like emotion could just mean, for that day, taking a step, doing something different, hanging out with your kid, reading a book you maybe wouldn't have read. It doesn't have to mean travel. It's just always
Moving
doing
forward.
something. Yeah.
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 Whether it's
Yeah.
learning, moving forward. I do find that as I'm nearing 50, I sometimes like to be less in motion. Like, I'm like, "I just wanna sit down in yoga pants and read a book." Like,
Right, right.
maybe not as motivated as I was in my 30s, chasing the career, but I was just wondering. I mean, it's a great book,
Mm.
it's a great title. Are you ready for the review? I haven't even shared the review with you, I'll pop it on the screen. I have a
Uh-oh.
review. Yeah,
Oh,
hold on.
no. A
I gotta find I
review.
gotta take this little baby off because it gets in my way. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna read it. All right. So, for those of us who have spent years or decades chasing a career, title, or status and wondered what it was all for, this is for you. In this honest and funny memoir, Black recalls the time she walked away from everything she'd worked for to follow a dream, full of fun adventures, unfortunate mishaps, love, sorrow, and finally healing. Join Black on her journey to stay in motion as the world flutters, stalls, and sometimes completely stops around her. It's just
Hmm.
lovely. Recommended for those who love travel stories of perseverance, and self discovery above all.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow. That's
it
a
was lovely.
review.
It was lovely. Well,
Oh,
and I'll post that
oh,
to wherever you want me. I'll do Amazon, I'll do Goodreads, I'll do Storygraph. But if
oh,
there's
thank
anything
you.
else you want, any place that you prefer, you just
Yeah,
let me know.
no, those all sound great. I mean, honestly, like, when you're writing a book, you think about maybe selling it, but you never really think about people reading it. All right. Like, I said, oh my God, somebody's reading it. And people would text me or call me and say, "Oh, I'm reading it. I'm at this chapter, and I didn't know about this about you." Or, friends of mine would, "Oh my God, I love it." And I was like, "Oh, I want someone to read it who I don't know."
Mhm.
Because
That's
maybe
me.
your friends are biased. Yeah, and then you came in my life. So I was like, "Oh my God, this is someone I don't know." But then, I was like, "Oh my God, what if she doesn't like it?" So I'm so glad. I'm
Not a
so glad.
possibility. No, I mean,
Yeah.
what I loved about it was that you covered so much ground. Um,
Mm.
and I don't wanna say it was a quick read because that sounds like I don't know if it sounds rude or what, but it's not it's so comfortable to read, right? Like
Oh.
I'm not in India for 5,000 years. I'm in India and the story is funny and then something's hard and then you're like, yeah, moving on. Now let's go to the next one. So it's kind of like so much information and such great stories, but also like bite-sized and like manageable so
Yeah.
I can laugh with you and cry with you and then move on, you know?
Mm.
So I thought it was perfect.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I did.
Thank you. I have heard from a few people that are like, I'm not the biggest reader, but I'm reading your book, and like the fact that I did it purposefully of like
Mhm.
short,
It's good.
snappy chapters and just kind of get you to read the next and the next and the next. And that's what they felt like. Like every chapter propelled them to want to read, oh, what happens next? I had one
The rocks.
woman,
For the love of God, the rocks.
the rocks.
Well
Um,
done.
someone said to me, she was mad at me, and she said, "I'm mad at you because I didn't get to sleep last night until much later than my bedtime because I was reading and I couldn't put the book down. And I just
Yep.
wanted to know, like, what happened next and what happened next." So,
My friend Brian, so talking about connections, I knew Brian in high school, which has been a bit. He said, "There's no better gift than experiencing a new place and culture. I love to travel. I love the stories made
oh,
on the journey," which is exactly what your book is about.
oh,
Brian, you got to
that's
read it. It's a good
amazing.
one. So
Yes,
tell
yes.
us before we wrap up what Joanne is
Yeah.
doing now, because I have like Instagram and LinkedIn stalked you. I want to hear about Launch Before because
Okay.
it's you and it's kind of women centric in a way, which I think is really lovely for women. So tell us what it is.
Yeah, so I came up with this idea of launch before, and the whole idea is to launch before you feel that it's ready, and launch before everything is perfect, and launch, just get out in the world now, because there's so many people, especially women, and even me, and I tell you my backstory about this, but that waited and waited and waited, or wait and wait and wait and never launch. And so I'm just encouraging women to launch. And so um, what I'm doing is I implement and strategize, like, how do you figure this out? And for you, online communities using the platform called Mighty Networks. And so it's like a private community where you get an app and you get a website, and it's your own community. It's not like, oh, there's your aunt's cat video, I'm going to go leave and be over there. You don't, it's not, it's just your community, your own community. So that's what I'm doing now. And I have clients from like Australia to London to New York to Costa Rica. It's been amazing, amazing. And mostly all of my clients are word of mouth. They find
Wow.
me because their friend said, "Go look Joanne up." That's really how I've been getting clients.
That's amazing. And men, we love you. We're not saying we don't love you, but women have been trained not to love women. And so seeing women love women and
Mm,
take care of women is like the joy
yeah,
of our generation, right? That we are
yeah,
empowered to do that. And
yeah,
thank you for doing that for women. That sounds so interesting.
yeah.
I mean, again, I'm in marketing, so I love the business talk.
Oh,
I know.
oh,
Let's
good.
talk
We
offline.
should connect over
I know.
that.
We are connected. Thank you, Debbie. And
Oh,
so where can people
uh,
buy the book? Where can people find out about the book website? Where did they
Amazon, or yeah, anywhere books are sold, type of thing. They can find it there.
Okay. Any parting
Yeah.
words, Joanne?
Well, I want to share one story, which
Please.
is where the book has gone. And so people have taken photos and said, "Oh, the book is here in this country, or on this bus, or on that plane." So it's been really cool, and I probably should post that stuff, but I
Yes.
will one day. But right now, the book is in uh, en route to Hawaii. It's on a cruise, which is an yeah, it's an around the world cruise that a friend of mine is taking, him and his wife, and they love the book. They're super huge fans of the book. They bought it for friends and told their travel agent about it, and so it's really been lovely. So they're bringing copies on this cruise of the book, or they brought copies of the book on the cruise, and they're gonna like look for people. They're gonna hand it out, or put it in the little libraries and take some pictures of people reading the book in these this around the world cruise. So the book is really living large right now.
It is. Please share, and I mean this, like,
Yeah.
any of those photos you get, share them in the group,
Yes,
please, because
I
I mean,
will.
we wanna help promote you, we wanna help promote the book. The book is lovely, and to our friends who are watching, if you, ever travel, love travel, or ever want to,
Ah,
like, go to any of these countries, so do you know Nikki?
I do know Nikki Nicole.
We
And
went
she took my book to South Africa last month. That's amazing.
Nikki,
Thank
we need
you.
a photo, please. Please send it to Joanne, or join
Yeah.
us online and post it. It's like
Yes.
Around the World in 80 Days within motion. That's a movie waiting
Yes.
to happen. All right. Well,
And
Joanne,
yes,
thank
so
you. And to everybody who's been watching, thank you so much. Feel free to join us online. But more importantly, look up Joanne's book. Let's support her, embrace her,
thank
embrace
you.
the book, and join us next time. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and
everyone.
thank you for everything, and honestly, thank you for what you did with the New Zealand dragon boating. I am still like shocked about that, so I really appreciate that. So thank you for inviting me on.
Absolutely. And when you do dragon boat, Ira needs to be there and take pictures and share them with us so we can see you paddling or drumming. Do
Yes,
you drum or paddle?
I did both.
So maybe you get to go
Did
twice.
both.
All right. Bye,
All
everyone.
right, bye everyone. Thank you.